Time is it over there? Oh my God, it's early in the morning.
Yeah, Roger, Randy, yeah, it's 2:30, yeah, 2:34 in the morning on a Sunday morning. Well, it's the weekend, so I don't really have to necessarily get up for anything in the morning tomorrow, so and I just work at another station, a couple KCs away, and I don't know how I ended up in this particular spot, but sometimes I get lucky, and I don't have to wait for a DX pileup or whatever, but maybe you don't have to worry about DX pileup at 2 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast anyway. Hi. Um, but I don't get to Hawaii too often. I was talking to Hawaii before, but not too often. And sometimes the West Coast, and sometimes going further west than that is kind of difficult. My antennas aren't very high here. My antennas aren't very high. Right now, running off of off-center fed dipole antenna, OCF dipole antenna at 20 feet. And the radio is a Kenwood TS480, Kenwood TS480 and barefoot. So only 100 watts out there, Randy. Nice to meet you on 20, and like I said, I just ended up on this frequency, I don't know how. Sitting here listening to nothing, and all of a sudden there you were. So I heard the call sign like KH6. That sounds like something special. Let me see who that is. Nice to meet you. KH6 India Bravo K4UDX. Oh, really?
Anyway, I was not expecting anybody to come back, so we just have Leo with a nice clear frequency. You're doing very good with your TS480 watts and so often in dipole there. On this end, we're running a little more power, running actually 150 alpha 78 above 1 kilowatt.
Yeah, Roger. Well, I try to mix up and do a little bit of a combination of between the rag chew and the 5.9 and thank you for your country kind of thing. You know what I mean. When you have an amplifier, and I had one for a little while, but I don't have it currently. I had a 600 watt Meritron EL811 amplifier, and it's kind of like the respect button when you go to climbing through pileups. If you run 100 watts, you have to wait. Sometimes you have to wait. It depends on the conditions. Sometimes you get lucky, and you just you got a good signal out of your antenna at 100 watts. But other times there's a lot of big gun stations. I don't know about in California, probably there too, but in the east coast of the U.S. there's a lot of big gun stations with 100-foot towers and Yagi antennas and plus 500 to a kilowatt of power. So you have to wait till those guys get all tired and made the contact, and then it's your turn. If you have the amplifier, that's the respect button. I almost labeled mine that. So then you push the respect button to the operate position and you have all of a sudden 500, 600 watts. Then you don't have to wait as long. So I miss the amplifier sometimes, but you can do quite a bit without it. What time is it over there anyway, Randy? What time of day is it? It's got to be 3 hours back to California. 2, 12, 11, 10. Is it around 9 o'clock at night there? What time is it? Over?
Yeah, okay. Well, the local time right now is about 8:38. 8:38 in the evening. And for me, normally I don't come up at this time. So let's see, I'm trying to read about you getting a honorable discharge from the Navy there. And you were a radio man. Okay. Well, good. Yeah, when I see the picture, it reminds me of the time when I was in the Navy. But I was what they call a ET. So looking at the radios that you have in the picture there, I'm not sure if that's you. It looks awfully young though. But looking at the radios up above, it definitely looks like something that I worked on, R1051, I think. But anyway, you can let me know if that's you in the picture. But yeah, I was AT and spent about 6 years in the Navy, and then got out and worked for the DOD, working on communications gear and antennas there. So anyway, let's see. I try to read this thing while I'm talking to you, but yeah, I gotta expand your picture so I can look. Maybe there's somebody that you know. I'm not sure. KA4 UDX, that's Ivy.
Yeah, Roger. You're very perceptive person, or maybe you saw another picture of me elsewhere around. Don't tell anybody. That's my secret. You're giving away my secret now. That picture's not really me. You're correct in what you're thinking. It was another radioman. I was actually qualified as a radioman, but I wasn't working as a radioman. But I hung out in the Radio Shack anyway. The watch that I stood was quartermaster of the watch, and I started off being a signalman, and I was on a 214-foot long ocean-going towing and salvage type of ship, and so didn't get to do much of the signaling that my job had, but my job also included navigation, so there you go. I'm standing navigation quartermaster of the watch underway. Whenever I wasn't doing that, I was hanging out in radio, and I took the correspondence course and qualified, passed the test and everything, and got rated as radioman as well. So that guy's not me, but I knew the guy. And I also discovered in the file cabinets the military affiliate radio system, the Navy Mars stuff, and they weren't using it. It must have been years before somebody had set it up and used it, but nobody had used it for a long time. The current radioman, all the way from, I think RM1 was the highest ranking radioman they had. They didn't have an RMC. They didn't have a chief radioman. Nobody knew about it. I found it by mistake. Had that I think that radioman was the one that helped me. We set up the receivers and everything to test it out, and went on the Navy Mars frequencies, and actually found a guy in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And we're over by the Mediterranean or somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean towards the Med, and I'm reaching on the HF bands, 20 meters probably, NN0 XPQ in Fort Lauderdale, and I tell him the phone number of my mother's house, and he makes the call, and did a really good job on that phone patch. So I figured out how to do it. We knew we could do it. Hadn't asked permission from the captain or anybody. But then we went and told, like, the executive officer and whatever, okay, this is what we can do. Check this out. And we did a demonstration, and like, holy mackerel. You can put phone calls for the crew. So I ended up running a list on the door to Radio Central of crew and officers to put phone patch calls through. So I did actually operate that R1051, I think it is, receiver, and the whole ANURCW1. I'm not looking at my webpage right now. The whole stack. The transmitter was an exciter, which is basically a transmitter that looks just like the receivers, on top of the linear amplifier stack, and pretty automatic. I think it was like modern equipment you have now, almost like hitting tune on a ham transceiver. You set it up and you hit the tune button, and that linear amp did a very good job of running the antenna tuner through and tuning it all up, and there you were. You were locked and loaded to go on, operate on the Mars frequencies. A little bit weird compared to transceivers to use a split receiver and transmitter, especially when they're in different rooms. You know, they were like around the corner. But you patch them all through patch panels, and you have a handset like that guy's holding. And it was, once you had it all set up, it was pretty easy to operate. You couldn't QSY quickly, Randy. You probably know that. KH6IBK for UDX. Over.
Yeah, Roger. K4UDX, K6IB. We got some EQSB on you. Sometimes you disappear on me, and other times you come very loud. So, but I'm getting, about 95% of what they're saying there, or maybe more than that, Alan. So, not too bad. Yeah. Well, I used to work on R1051, URC 32s, which is a 1 kilowatt linear. Sounded like on 747. If you were in the same room, it used to drive me crazy working on that transmitter. And I also would repair the antenna couplers for the 35-foot width. So that was my job while I was in Pearl Harbor. But when I was on an oiler in the Navy, then we would just fix whatever was broken, which included radar, sonar, and of course communications and crypto equipment. So that was quite interesting, being that I never was trained on crypto gear, but I had to fix it. So I got the captain to sign a paper saying if anything went wrong, he was ordering me to fix it, because I didn't really know what I was doing. But we get it going, and it was kind of interesting. I think I actually learned quite a bit of my electronics on the ship, just because they wouldn't let me off the ship unless I fixed the gear. So if I wanted to go on what they call Liberty, you have to have all the gear running. So it was quite stressful, because sometimes, we pull into port. I couldn't get the parts for the unit, and although I couldn't do anything, they wouldn't let me off the boat. I don't know about you, but we would stay out like 2 weeks at a time, and it drives me crazy. I did not like being at sea too much. So after that, we realized, besides getting seasick, I'm just not a good sailor. It's a good thing most of my career I was on shore duty there, Alan. So yeah, we right after going to electronics school, we got stationed at Subbase Pearl Harbor. So it was shore duty, and schooling was a long time. So I spent most of my career not on a ship. Anyway, one thing I find about the linear, I used to only run low power, but I like rag chewing, so by having the linear, I can sit there and rag chew with somebody that normally would just give me a 5.9, and maybe the weather, but as I stayed out on them, they give up on me. But running the linear really helps quite a bit there, Alan. So, as you can tell, I'm not a QRP person. I tell people my station is built for an impatient person there.
Yeah, I'm going to make a quick transmission this time because this is a vertical antenna. Can you still copy me over?
Yeah, Roger, I hear you.
Was it better or worse than the other one?
Well, with QSD, sometimes it gets really bad, but right now I can't really tell. You just talk really short, so go ahead and talk longer and we'll find out.
Okay. All right, K for EDX. This is a vertical antenna, a ground-mounted vertical antenna, and you were doing about the same, regardless of the OCF dipole, which is horizontal, and this one, which is just under 30 feet to the top of it. It's one of those Hustler Neutronics 6BTV 6-band trap vertical, and sometimes in certain conditions it works better. And in other conditions, the OCF dipole works better. So anyway, I was going to give it a try and see if you could copy me on this one there. Over.
Yeah, I think you're actually more consistent with the vertical. Actually, the vertical puts out lower angles of radiation, and you being in Florida, salt water is all around you, so it does help you. I wonder how far is salt water from you. I've done some experiments, and if you can get right up on salt water, it makes a heck of a difference on a vertical. But we don't run trap verticals like you're doing. Have not had really good success with that. We like running what you call end-fed, which is a half wave, or the other antenna we like is 0.5 vertical, which is kind of an antenna not resonant on any band. It's kind of a weird antenna. I keep looking at it and the theory doesn't work out, but I hear guys with it and they're loud. So what can I say, Alan? You know, I always tell guys theory is theory and what works works. So I can tell you your vertical doesn't work, but you're coming through. So the bottom line, it works for you.
Yeah, Roger. It was actually the first antenna that I put up, and when I put it in it's ground mounted, so I had to hammer the post. I did it the way they originally tell you to do it, not the way that the newer guys like DX Engineering Company tell you to do it. I did it the old-fashioned way, hammering the post in the ground with the pipe. The stainless steel pipe into the ground with a sledgehammer kind of thing, and so it's got about 4 feet or 5 feet or 6 feet. I don't remember how long that thing was. I remember I hammered until I couldn't feel my hands anymore. I'm sure you've done something like that before. Pounded a post into the ground until you can't feel your hands anymore. They're so sore from pounding. But later on somebody told me, oh, the antenna's not very efficient if you don't have ground radials, no matter what the original owner's manual tells you. So I started adding ground radials of copper wire. I made them all like 50 feet. I put about 8 of them out, and then later it was 10. I don't have as many as everybody recommends, but I'm also tied into some other things. There's an electrical conduit for an old street light for the driveway for the house. I tied into that, so that puts a long a metal conduit pipe that goes across the whole front yard. And I also tied into the water pipe, so and that gives me that water pipe ground, which the water pipe, however much of it's still metal, probably goes pretty far too. So it's got a pretty good ground radial / ground system underneath it. So I think it does pretty good. This is like 3 years it's been up now, and the OCF dipole's only been up since I think late 2010 or whatever. Anyway, I won't hold you much longer, and I'm getting kind of tired here myself because it is late, and should probably shut things down and wake up sometime tomorrow morning before noontime. But I have enjoyed the long QSO. Maybe we'll get a chance again. I QSL with EQSL, so I don't know if you do that, but I'll send you that one anyway. That's how I log it. So good to meet you on here, Randy. Over.
Okay, K4DDX, K6ID. I don't know why, but a lot of static noise is coming through now. If it wasn't for the static noise, I copied just fine there, Alex. But with a vertical or more ground radials you put down for about the first 102 inches makes a big difference. Actually, on my tower system, I actually put a ground screen on the grass around my tower, and it seems to have stabilized the ground, and I get less USB and things like that. So, yeah, sounds like, as long as it works for you there, what can I say? Being in Florida, I can tell you, when I was mobiling in Florida, it was way better than in Georgia or even up at Pensacola. I went up to Pensacola and it was not that good. It surprised me because it's right near salt water, but it did not really work as well as, on the Panhandle area. And then when I went to Louisiana, it was definitely not as good. Okay, we'll let you go. Go get some sleep. We'll say 7-3's aloha. Thanks for coming back to me and kind of making my evening there. K4UDX, K6IV, aloha from Hawaii.
Yeah, Roger. And by the way, I'm only about a couple of miles, maybe 2 miles from the East Coast. It's probably pretty far to the west side. But we're probably not very far down to the water table either, where the water, the aquifer that carries the water, that we get our water supply. So there's water everywhere close to my antennas. Nice to meet you, 73s. Have a great holiday weekend. I guess it's a holiday weekend, yeah. Have a great weekend, and we'll catch you again. K6IB, K4UDX. Thanks for the chat, and 73.